All right, let's jump right in. We've all seen it, right? A huge global company tries to make its brand feel, well, cool and authentic in a dozen different local markets. It's this incredible balancing act. How do you keep a consistent global vision, but also give your local teams the freedom they need to actually win the war for talent? Today, we're going to break down what works, what absolutely doesn't, and some of the key lessons learned right from the front lines.
So this is where the trouble always starts. You've got headquarters with this big, grand, unified strategy. It looks great on a PowerPoint slide. But then, on the ground, say in Lodz or Warsaw, the reality for recruiters and the candidates they're talking to, it can be a completely different world. And this disconnect is exactly where the best-laid plans just, fall apart.
I bet you're nodding your head right now. I mean, come on. You get that slick, expensive corporate campaign, and it's full of these broad, kind of generic messages, and it just lands with a thud, right? It doesn't connect, it doesn't get anyone excited, and it for sure doesn't help you hire a single person. So why does this keep happening?
Well, look, it's usually not because people aren't trying hard. It's more a failure of the entire approach. So let's really dig into the specific tripwires that cause these big, global employer branding strategies to stumble right out of the gate.
When you boil it all down, it usually comes back to these three big mistakes. First, you've got this centralized micromanagement from HQ that just suffocates any local creativity or speed. Second, the local talent acquisition teams, the TA teams, they're just not getting the support they need. The global strategy might be a pretty picture, but it doesn't give them the tools to actually close candidates. And finally, there's no dedicated expert on the ground who really gets it, someone who can act as that bridge between local leadership and the global brand.
And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is the micromanagement problem in a nutshell. We're in the tech world. Things move crazy fast. Talent doesn't wait around. By the time your LinkedIn post gets approved by some committee 3 time zones away, the moment's gone. The conversation has moved on, and your message is totally irrelevant. In this game, speed and relevance, they're everything.
Okay, so enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about what actually works, because there is a model for success. And it's all about flipping that traditional top-down approach completely on its head. It's about empowerment, not control.
And this is really the choice, isn't it? It's so clear. On one side, you have that slow, painful, frustrating path of micromanagement. And on the other, you have the model that actually works. HQ provides a super clear brand guide. Here's the logo, here are our values, this is our tone of voice. And then they get out of the way. They give the local teams the freedom to execute, to use the tools and stories that will actually work for their market.
Now, a massive tool for making this happen is this idea called transcreation. And listen, this is so much more than just translation. It's not about changing words from English to Polish. It's about taking the core idea, the feeling of the global brand, and totally reimagining it so it connects with the local culture, the local context, and what the candidates there really care about.
Let's look at a real-world example. Take Harman. Their global slogan was, "Connect." Okay, a literal translation of that would have been pretty flat, pretty boring. Instead, the local team in Poland transcreated it. They turned it into campaigns that really hit home, like Harman Pride Poland and these amazing deep-dive technical spotlights. Suddenly, it wasn't just a corporate slogan. It was a real conversation that got local engineers genuinely fired up. And it's not just about culture either. For Scope Group, their big win came from ditching the vague, corporate speak and instead crafting these hard-hitting technical arguments. They spoke directly to what their local candidates actually wanted to know. It just proves you have to adapt your message to fit the specific context of the roles you're trying to fill. So, what does this all boil down to? How do we turn this into some core principles you can actually use? Let's distill everything into 3 really powerful lessons, drawing on some experience with a super dynamic company like Peloton.
Lesson number 1, you have to stop thinking about your employer brand as some fixed one-and-done project. It's a living, breathing thing, especially when you're launching a new office. Things change constantly. The best approach is to think of it like a flexible subscription that can adapt in real time, not some rigid contract you have to renegotiate every 5 minutes.
Number 2, and this is huge. In this model, your local managers are the brand. They're the ones on the ground. But here's the thing. You can't just expect them to be great at it. You have to equip them. You have to give them the tools and the training, you could call it boss branding, so they can be powerful, authentic storytellers who bring that global message to life in a way that feels real. And finally, lesson 3. When you're trying to hire top tech talent, authenticity is the only thing that matters. Seriously,
Top engineers, whether they're in Poland or anywhere else, they are completely immune to generic marketing fluff. You win them over by showing them the substantive guts of the work, the complex, messy, ambitious challenges they'll actually get to solve. That's what builds real authority. That's what makes them want to join.
So let's wrap up with this. This is really the question you need to ask yourself about your own company. Is your global brand a rigid, suffocating rulebook that ties your local team's hands, or is it a flexible playbook that gives them the core strategy and then the freedom they need to go out and win? Because honestly, the answer to that question makes all the difference in the world.